Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. Hillary Clinton's camp is stepping up its response to allegations that she stored sensitive material on her private email server after a court filing this week revealed that intelligence agencies have flagged more than 300 documents from Clinton's account that may contain classified information. But the problem, her campaign argued this week, isn't Clinton's handling of the emails, but the dysfunctional system used by the government to designate what's secret. During a testy exchange with reporters in Las Vegas Tuesday, the former Secretary of State claimed she's the innocent victim of that agency battle.
It has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with the fact that my account was personal. It's the process by which the government, and sometimes in disagreement between various agencies of the government, make decisions about what can and cannot be disclosed.
Joining the panel this week, Wall Street Journal assistant editorial page editor James Freeman, editorial board member Joe Rago, and Washington columnist Kim Strassel. So, Kim, in the ongoing email saga, what's the most important detail we learned this week?
I think the most important thing, well, a couple of things. One, we have found out that the server that was turned over to the FBI was, in fact, according to Mrs. Clinton's lawyers, wiped clean. So we still don't know what that means yet in terms of their ability to retrieve data, but that was one thing. We've also seen the Clinton camp become very defensive about this, which suggests that they and the Democratic Party realize that there's a bit of a problem for them because of revelations about classified material, which have also been in the news yet more again this week.
But Kim, also we've learned that there really was a lot of classified information that crossed her email back and forth, 300, maybe more than 300. And that's just based on the documents that have been looked at so far. So this is an escalating problem of mishandling classified information.
Yes, and we also have new reports. There was a story out from Reuters this week that suggested that some of this information, that just by its very nature, whether or not it was marked classified or not in her account, by its very nature should have always been viewed as classified because, for instance, it included high-level discussions between the Secretary of State and foreign diplomats.
So, James, her response, I didn't know it was classified when it came into me, and I never sent knowingly classified information. Adequate?
No, it's not adequate. You remember the Clinton campaign also said a few weeks ago, made a stink with the press saying if she's being investigated, it's not criminal yet, but it should be a criminal investigation because for anyone not named Clinton, it would be. As Judge Mukasey, the former Attorney General, wrote in our paper last week, it's punishable by up to a year in jail for having classified information at an unauthorized location, her server. It does not matter whether she allowed someone to mark classified on it.
This would be a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Okay. So, Joe, what about Judge Emmett Sullivan this week at a court hearing told the FBI and the State Department, get on the stick to get the information in response to a Freedom of Information Act request from Judicial Watch, information from her server, as well as from the thumb drives that her lawyer, Hillary Clinton's lawyer, turned over to the FBI. Reluctantly, but they have turned it over. How significant is the judge's order?
Well, I think it's pretty significant. You've kind of got these circling cases. There's 3 Freedom of Information Act cases in court, and sort of a growing outside suspicion from the intelligence community, from the FBI. They're really the only people that can force some kind of resolution to this. If it's left to the political system, you're going to continue to see these kind of made-up excuses. Look, she was the Secretary of State. She decides what's classified. That's one of her jobs. So just the fact that any of her official business was on a private server is troubling.
And James, how much damage is this doing to her standing politically?
Well, certainly she's been gradually, not quickly, but gradually sinking in the polls since these revelations came out in the spring. Trustworthiness going down as well. Approval rating not looking good, but she's still kind of hanging in there. She's still the leading Democratic candidate, I guess you would say. But I think this this legal problem, and maybe more on the investigative side, the potentially criminal side, than the lawsuit side, is going to be a problem, because unless she's saying she hired somebody to sit in the bathroom in Denver and review these things, the fact they're unmarked is going to be a consequence of her running this private operation.
Kim, you know, a wise man once told me a slogan: if there's no alternative, there's no problem. And I think that the Clinton strategy on this is that if there's no alternative to Hillary Clinton for the nominee, they figure the Democrats are going to circle the wagons, they're going to get behind her, and all of this will fade as the campaign goes along. Is that why she's trying to use the partisanship defense here and saying it's all just the Republicans?
Absolutely. It's what Clintons do. And the goal here, as you said, is to keep everyone focused on the prize, which in the Clintons' mind is the Clintons. I mean, I think the problem for the Clintons, though, is that Democrats are beginning to look around wondering if they don't need another person to come in. You know, the polls, in fact, just this week, there were a couple of really devastating ones for her, showing her losing in head-to-head matchups against most of the top Republican tier candidates in places like Florida and Pennsylvania, which really matter. You've also begun to have some Democrats who've been publicly started to question her. A Democratic member of Congress, John Yarmouth, actually came out and said that he was very concerned that he could never get the facts from the Clinton campaign, and worried that this might upend her run.
Well, Yarmouth's career is going to be over before too long, I'll tell you that. All right, still ahead, Donald Trump's call to end birthright citizenship divides the Republican presidential field. Look at where the candidates stand on that and other immigration issues, and the potential fallout in 2016 next.